Welcome back to Tom's World Scale Model Series. In this episode, we undertake the construction of our Academy Jagdpanzer 38 Hetzer. If you enjoy programming on scale modeling, then show your support by subscribing to this channel. Leave us a comment, like, dislike, or share the video with friends. Clicking the notification bell gives you alerts when we post new content. Or visit the channel Tom's World for a friendly visit for a complete list of all our videos. Our unboxing episode revealed an inexpensively priced and good quality kit. Clear instructions, crisply molded parts, and funky paint masks were all enclosed. We even found figures and a beautiful photo-etch grill cover in the box. Stay with us as we transform this pile of parts into a beautiful scale representation of the legendary Jagdpanzer 38 Hetzer. I've always liked the lines and proportions of the little Hetzer, but in my long and not so distinguished modeling career, I've never actually built one. Needless to say, I was looking forward to this project. In step 1, Academy has us build up the running gear mounting brackets, return rollers, and towing plates. 18 parts in total for this first pass. Unlike most track fighting vehicles, the Jagdpanzer has sloped hull sides. With the exception of maybe the US M60 tank and some German half-tracks and armored cars, sloped hull sides seem to be unique to the Hetzer. It looks cool and even gives the vehicle a futuristic look. But whenever we build out a square, things always get a bit more complicated. Notice all these parts have angled contact surfaces, and the alignment of our great big wheels greatly depends on the engineering of the joints on the parts. Of course, our skill at building will also play. I was interested to see how straight our wheels will be once we eventually install them. And here are all the parts cleaned up and ready for assembly. We see that Academy keys the joints using indentations, slots, and other alignment aids. Even the return roller is keyed, which greatly aids in part alignment. There's a crescent-shaped indentation in the hull side to aid placement of the return roller bracket. Despite the indent, it takes a bit of fidgeting to get the return roller properly aligned with the hull. Carefully inspect the alignment from all angles and adjust as needed before the glue dries. These shots illustrate the proper orientation and alignment of the return roller and bogie mounts. And here are all the parts attached to complete step 1. The front towing plates installed into deep slots. Again, care must be taken due to the angled installation. This little tensioning doohickey is key to the idler bogie, but the fit is loose. If we install it incorrectly, it may interfere with our rear plate, which gets installed later. This is how the tensioning part should look once installed. The rear plate butts up against it tightly. If we misalign the tensioning detail, it could interfere when we install our rear plate. Step 2 further builds up the running gear. Rocker arms, leaf springs, our final drive and idler arms are installed, 20 parts in total. And here are the parts cleaned up and ready for installation. When we examined the kit's instructions in our unboxing video, we questioned whether the idler arm pieces were keyed, and indeed they are. They fit into their corresponding holes and slots in the idler bogies. The alignment is important since the position of the idler wheel will affect our track installation later. Each of the final drives builds up with 3 pieces. The pieces are keyed and their engineering is superb. Again, one of the surfaces is angled. The Hetzer's running gear is comprised of pairs of swing arms tensioned by leaf springs. The leaf springs have a square hole which fits over the raised square in between the bogie posts. The fit here is very loose. The rocker arms rest on the leaf springs. The final alignment of the wheels, therefore, depends on the orientation of these leaf springs. Because of the loose fit on the leaf springs, we have to be careful to align them, otherwise our vehicle will be wobbly. I glued everything in place, but before the glue dried, I flipped the model over and gently pressed the hull down so the bottom of the rocker arms all touched the tabletop. We want our model to sit flat and not wobble. The final alignment of our wheels depends on the foundation we're building here. Since we're installing everything over an angled hull, we have to constantly be inspecting our work from every angle to make sure everything is aligned. Academy places the sprue gates in between the sprocket teeth. I prefer when the gate is cast on the edge of the teeth, but with a pointy number 10 or 11 X-Acto blade, we can carefully cut most of the gate away. I have a small selection of files in various shapes, and the tapered square one fit perfectly in between the drive sprocket teeth. If we work carefully, the gates are cleaned up and none of our sprocket teeth are damaged. Two pieces make up the drive sprockets. They're keyed and there are no knockouts on the inside. The idlers are also keyed, but there are knockouts. If you're entering your Hetzer in a show, either fill these scars or make sure to cover them up with weathering. The road wheels don't have a parting line on the circumference, but we do have to smooth out the sprue gates. When sanding the gates down, we follow the contour of the wheel, careful not to create flat spots. Not too many wheels on the Hetzer, and here they are cleaned up and ready for assembly and painting. There is a not tapering hull extension piece that gets installed, but it fits perfectly. Two little sections of fenders then get installed. Once attached, the rear fenders seem to droop terribly. At first glance, it seems we may have botched their installation. A quick check of the instruction drawings, and to our relief, this drooping orientation is actually correct. Our grouser bin builds up with 3 parts. The real bin is perforated, and unfortunately, Academy's version only has dimples. I decided to drill out the holes, so out came the pin vise. The dimples make drilling the holes easy. With a little patience and elbow grease, we get our perforated look. The instructions give us 2 barrels to choose from, but the sprue actually has 3 usable barrels. Early versions of the Hetzer came with a muzzle brake, but it was found that the brake was more trouble than it was worth. The muzzle brake is actually threaded to the barrel, so some units simply removed the muzzle brake and left the threads bare. If we look closely, one of the barrels on the sprue has these threads. Although the instructions don't call for using this barrel, we could install it if we were so inclined. Since the late version of the Hetzer is depicted, the kit does not contain a muzzle brake. As an expedient, a short section of tube was threaded onto the end of the Hetzer gun to protect the threads. The 2 barrels that the instructions call for depict this late conversion. I'll use the barrel on the left since the cap is a little crisper. The remote-controlled machine gun builds up with 10 parts, and this assembly contains the smallest parts of the kit, that being B75 and B9. I didn't use part B75, as I'll explain in a moment. And here are the parts ready for assembly. We appreciate just how small B9 is when compared to an X-Acto 11 blade. Although the slide molding on the MG34's barrel is impressive, the hole is too shallow. I accentuated the bore using my pin vise. The machine gun shields have 2 sink marks, and I decided to fill these. For shallow sink marks, I'll use Mr. Surfacer 500. It's a thick-bodied lacquer product that we can apply with a brush. It shrinks a bit, so we build it up with 2 or 3 coats, waiting about 20 minutes in between. I'll give the filler about 2 hours to fully dry, then we sand it down with progressively finer sanding sticks. And here's the finished look. Once painted, the blemishes will completely disappear. When mounted in vehicles, the MG34 usually had its buttstock removed. The instructions call for the stock to be cut off and replaced with a tiny B75 butt piece. Looking at the actual MG34 part, we can cut the stock here. That way we leave the original little stub intact, so we don't have to bother attaching that pesky B75 piece. The shields on the gun were difficult to assemble. The instructions aren't crystal clear, and the part didn't seem to fit logically or obviously. I glued them and pulled them off 3 or 4 times. Even after all that rejiggering, I'm not convinced I got the assembly right, but it looks okay. The muffler shroud is a 2-piece affair, and there are nasty knockout scars on the inside. For our purposes, we'll leave these alone, but if your Hetzer is headed to a model show, these should be cleaned up. It's the same story with the muffler pipe. The pipe also needs its end hollowed. Here's how the muffler and shroud look when we dry fit, and we can see the knockouts are pretty obvious. We use our pin vise to hollow out the muffler pipe. The fit on the main gun mount hemispheres is a bit odd. The fit isn't idiot-proof, so we'll have to be careful when gluing up these parts. The joint where the barrel inserts into the Schweinkopf mantlet is loose. We'll have to be careful to get the barrel lined properly when we glue it in. The driver's visor cover, which sits on the front slope, it's got two small knockout indentations on the back. In fact, there are quite a few knockout scars on various parts in this kit that'll need filling. Examples are the Tank Commander's periscope and its hatch. The two topside periscopes also have them, and these two fender brackets. I filled all these depressions in the same way as I did the machine gun shields. These fender brackets also don't align with their respective mounting plates on the rear armor. Here the bracket is dry fit and we can see the misalignment. If this model was contest bound, we'd have to replace the mounting blocks on the rear plate. To expedite our video build, I'll fill in the rear plate mounting holes and slap the fender brackets over top. Shame on you, Academy, for this sloppy engineering. Two towing brackets are attached to the rear plate and their placement goes into well-defined slots. This detailed instruction shows the plate extensions butting underneath the fender. However, the way the parts build up, the towing plate extension butts up against the fender, not underneath it. The engine deck is built up with several hatches and the pieces in general fit together tightly. A dry fit reveals tight joints between the upper superstructure and hull. The odd seam may require a little acrylic putty to close the more unsightly gaps. I used a little thin sheet styrene to build 3 brackets. These make installing our towing cable much easier. Much of the work in this kit goes into attaching small bits onto the hull. These steps require steady hands, patience, and a meticulous eye to ensure everything is aligned and square when installed. These grab handles are among the kit's smallest parts. We're showing 6 here, but there are a total of 7 to clean up and install. We have a little PE shaping to do and our engine grill has little tabs that need to be bent 90 degrees downwards. I bought these inexpensive tweezers at my local drugstore and the flat ends are perfect for PE bending. I use these to get the tabs bent down. If we bend the tabs correctly, the PE part fits perfectly over the styrene engine grill. We covered link and length track assembly in other videos, so we'll skim over it here. Tape sticky side up on our mat. The track pieces are pressed tightly together dry. We use an edge to ensure our track is straight. Then we smear on thin liquid cement. I wait about 10 to 15 minutes so the track pieces stay together, but the run is still pliable. Drying times may vary depending on the glue used. I then slip the tracks over the wheels. At this point the wheels are dry fit to the hull and we don't glue the tracks to the wheels. We just want to hold the tracks in their final shape until they fully dry, in about 2 hours. We wrap the links tightly around the idler and sprocket. We can stuff little bits of rolled up paper towel and wedge the tracks against the wheels. The tracks don't need to be shaped perfectly at this point, but we want to get them close. I'm not gluing together the hull and superstructure for now to ease painting, but a dry fit reveals our progress so far. Our little Hetzer is finally assuming the classic low-slung tank hunter profile. Amazing how much destruction the Germans managed to pack into such a tiny vehicle. With our major sub-assemblies complete and our remaining parts cleaned up, we're ready for painting and weathering. While not rising to the level of Tamiya's joinery and attention to detail, our Academy Hetzer builds into a fine-scale model. The kit is priced slightly less than comparable Tamiya boxing, so the builder has to decide whether the extra dollars invested in kit engineering is worth it. However, as we've seen in our video build, a moderate amount of work is required to bring the Academy kit to competition standards. And that'll do it for part 1 of our Academy Jagdpanzer 38 project. Join us for part 2 coming up as we undertake painting and weathering our little tank hunter. Thank you for joining me, and in the meantime, follow your kit instructions carefully, stay well, and all the best.